Hello everyone, my name is Miniseti. Today we are going to learn about non-tariff barriers. In previous video we have already discussed about tariff and types of tariff, but today we are going to learn about non-tariff barriers. What do you mean by non-tariff barriers? Non-tariff barriers are basically trade barriers that restrict the import and export of goods. Non-trade barriers are basically trade barriers that restrict the import and export of goods, or we can say that non-tariff barriers are other than tariff barriers. Okay, and non-tariff barriers include voluntary export restriction, quota system, embargoes, and labeling and testing standards, specific permission requirement. One by one we will discuss about each non-tariff barriers. Firstly, we talk about voluntary export restriction. What do you mean by voluntary export restriction? Voluntary export restriction is arrangement between exporting and importing country in which exporting country agree to limit their export. Voluntary export restriction is basically arrangement between exporting and importing countries in which exporting countries agree to limit their export. Okay, for example, there are two countries, country A and country B. Country A is exporting country. Country B is importing country. Country A is doing export in B country. As we know, export of A is import of B. Export of A country is import for B country. And B country want to reduce the amount of import in their country. But for any reason, B country is not able to change the import policy of their own country. That's why B country do some request or put some pressure on A country. Please reduce amount of your export in our country. That's why A country voluntarily reduce quantities of their export in B country. When A country voluntarily reduce amount of their export in B country, it will call voluntary export restriction. Okay, now we talk about quota system. What do you mean by quota? Quota is restriction on the quantities or monetary value of goods that country can import or export. Quota is basically restriction on quantities or monetary value of goods that country can import or export. For example, company X is continue increasing their import of mobile. Company X is continue increasing the import of their mobile. Now government impose some limitation of country X. Now government said you can do the import of only 1000 mobile. You cannot cross this limit. Okay, you can do import of only 1000 mobile, not more than it. In this case, government set some limit in form of fixed number. Government set some limit in form of fixed number, and this fixed number is called quota that country used to limit the amount of import or export. Now we talk about embargo. Embargo is officially ban on trade or other commercial activity with the particular country. Embargo is officially ban on trade or other commercial activity with the particular country. In this case, one country or so many countries officially ban their trade or other commercial activity with the particular country. Okay. Now we talk about labeling and testing standard. As we all know, labeling and testing is required when you are doing trade with other country. Okay, sometime importer country set very complex labeling and testing standard, and it become very difficult for exporter country to do import with this country. Okay, it's work like a non-tariff barrier. Okay, now we talk about specific permission requirement. As we all know, license is must when you are doing trade with another country. Okay, but sometime process of getting import and export license is very complex, is very costly and very time consuming, especially for those countries which don't have so much experience, money and time. They think like that they will not do trade with some particular country. Okay, it's also work like a non-tariff barrier. Okay, this is all about non-tariff barrier. I think you got it, and thank you so much for watching this video. Bye, take care.